дня. Вітаю в Українському кризовому медіа-центрі.
Welcome, dear colleagues. We begin our briefings. And the first topic: why Ukraine doesn't need state regulation in the field of morality. We'll speak to our experts, Kateryna Myasnikova, Independent Association of Broadcasters, Tetiana, Kotiuzhynska, National Union of Journalists. She'll join later. Oksana, Romaniuk, Institute of Mass Information, Rozkladay, Institute of Media Law. Oleksiy, Pogorelov, Ukrainian Association of Publishers, and Kateryna, Civic Organization, Center UA, and Movement Stop Censorship. My name is Kateryna Myasnikova. I would like to speak on behalf of media community to Ukrainians and to Ukrainian government on the issue of existence in Ukraine of National Expert Commission on social morality. It's not unacceptable in a country that declares its dedication to the freedom of speech and access to information. You see, this commission from the very beginning, and the law on protection of social morality, there were a lot of complaints about that commission. And we as media organizations, we represent TV companies and journalists and press. We believe that it's impossible that we have such it's unacceptable that we have this body in Ukraine, because it has all the features of censorship. And for 6 months after the revolution of dignity won, we expected the government would take necessary steps to eliminate this body. And for several years there is a new law on social morality, which provides tools of self-regulation on these issues. Unfortunately, this draft law is still not was not brought from the Cabinet of Ministers to the Parliament. It disappeared somewhere in the corridors in the Cabinet of Ministers, and we ask the Prime Minister Yatsenyuk and Cabinet of Ministers, and we say that this is a time to look at that law, and we should solve the issue of this strange, in our opinion, international. In our opinion and in the opinion of the international community, this is a strange law. There is the decree of the President on commitments of Ukraine to the Council of Europe, and according to which the Council of Europe recommended to Ukraine to eliminate that committee. And we are worried the most that instead of that happening, such bodies as the Council of National Security, Ministry of Interior, and other law enforcement bodies, they replace with the existing system of expert community organizations, and that, in such case, for information security, it puts a lot of uncertainty, because the NAC is not an expert body. We invite law enforcement bodies and security and defense council to use the existing system of experts, and not to strengthen that pseudo body with their cooperation. These are general things I wanted to mention. My colleagues will speak in details about all the aspects of this committee and why we believe that it's strange for our democratic state that we have it. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Madam I'm a lawyer of the Institute of Media Law. During the law on the protection of social morality, we call, cancel, and liquidate. That's not because we are against morality. It's funny to. It's a joke to demand that the society should have morality, and we have it. But the issue is who is working on that. There is a body which is financed. You can ask that there is a body which has an office in downtown and approves such a decision that to recognize Shevchenko as the person who is respected by the nation. All the bodies should have morality. Ministry of Education through education, Ministry of Culture through promotion of values, certain values, and institutional national memory, and they should work on that and should be funded, not like they are funded now. Institute of a Ministry of Interior that should fight against children morality, pornography. But Mr. Lavranovich and Chernovetsky, that was their initiative to have this law, and because of them, we have this commission or committee, which is like a body of experts. And if you look at the procedure of appointment of the leadership of this body, they are appointed by the Cabinet of Ministers, and it's not that outside, it's not that independent. And it makes no sense to have it, because experts are not experts in this, but if you look at the state register of forensic experts, you will not find that commission on morality. Ministry of Interior, there's Borgard service, but you will not find this committee, and it must not be there. The issue of morality should be decided, like in all the civilized countries of the world, through self-regulation in media or in other fields, or in the framework of competence of those bodies that are responsible for that. So, and yes, we hear that the committee exists because it is the most efficient, but there is a diagnosis of this for the system, and we have overlapping bodies because there are other are not efficient. So maybe we should deal with the efficiency of other bodies. I give the floor to my colleagues with this. Thank you, Oksana, the Institute of Mass Information. We prepared analysis of 28 decisions of this committee from their side. Here's an analytical note. And we provided that to Information Analytical Center of Security and Defense Council. We see awful things. The decision of the committee is not competent. They are very superficial, and they have features of limitation of freedom of speech and features of absence of any expertise, where there are reasons for such limitations. One of the examples, it's a new. In Donetsk, they put leaflets around, and which humiliate the Jews. A National Committee condemns that news. This is quite important news, because it's about discrimination of an ethnic minority, and they should speak to police. This committee should ask the police to react to such phenomena. And these decisions it's very sad that they are applied, or they pay attention in state bodies. They pay attention to that because they are not competent. They are that is imitation, and we are very concerned with efforts of SBU and others to involve when they involve them. And this committee doesn't have no power to speak about xenophobia or any information security. We can provide that to those state institutions that need that information. We can provide that to the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine if they lack of grounds to pass legislation and to eliminate this strange institution which makes decisions quite known to you. On Taras Shevchenko, certificates of a happy family, during those times when all the countries collected money for bulletproof jackets, vests. We spent a lot of money to support this institution. Now I would like to give the floor to my colleagues.
Good afternoon. I'm Oksana Kurina. I am the journalist and the expert on films. I know the arguments of Mr. Kotiuzhynska that the industry is lobbying its interests, that they're interested in getting money. I'm not the representative of the industry. I'm the representative of the cultural journalist community and the community of NGOs. I would like to remind you of the destiny of the writer Oleksiy the prize winner of Shevchenko Prize, and his novel was recognized as such that has the elements of pornography, and combating with the commission with the morality cost him life. He died a few years ago. That's a big loss for Ukrainian culture. That's very sad fact in our history. I would like also to draw your attention to the fact that the Commission on the Protection of Morality did not have a single meeting when there were these events taking place in Maidan. They had the meeting on the 27th of February when they recognized Shevchenko as the symbol of Ukraine, and they also passed some resolutions, some decisions which cause either laughter or make some people sad. I believe that the Commission needs to be liquidated because morality is something which is regulated by the family, by school, by culture. That's a private thing, but not the public thing.
Доброго дня,
Good afternoon, Tetiana Kotiuzhynska. I'm from the National Union of Journalists of Ukraine. The activity of the Commission on Protection of Public Morality, we have been analyzing starting from 2005. If we had some data, at least, of efficiency of work of this Commission, if we had some indicators that would demonstrate the improvement of the situation, no. But we hear from the Commission every year that the public morality requires this Commission, that Ukraine has lost an information war and so on. Every year, from 4 to 9 million hryvnias are spent for the activities of this Commission, plus the office premises, about 80 people working there, and we cannot assess their work by any qualitative or quantitative indicators. We have some critical criticism from this body. This is not the expert body. This is called the National Expert Commission, but they are not expert body, because any expert who is making the expert opinion, he's warned about criminal responsibility for any untruthful information, untruthful conclusions. And the expert analysis on a book that Oksana mentioned was done by the deputy head of Rivne. Is that the expert? What happened in the destiny of the country because of this book being banned or not? Now there is a draft law developed by the Ministry of Justice, according to which this commission will not be the state body, it will be the public body, that the public will be able to set up this body and anyone can become part of it. The representatives of religious communities, the representatives from the organization of parents, anyone, the public, the civil society can organize this body. But they can send letters, then they can offer the certificates of the happy family. This could be done, but not for the money from the budget. If we look at the funding, who is being funded, who has debts, we will see that there are more efficient mechanisms of spending this money. But what if we believe that our money, the money of the taxpayers, are not used efficiently? That means that there's no incentive to pay taxes. If the state doesn't use that efficiently, then the citizens refuse to pay taxes. They're looking for the ways not to pay it. And that's the global practice. About 80% of taxes are paid in Sweden and 10% in Honduras. The citizens of Honduras believe that their tax system is unfair, and the citizens of Sweden believe that their tax system is fair, because the citizens look at the efficiency of the use of money. But what we see the head of that commission, which is appointed by the Cabinet of Ministers and never changes, despite all the changes in the government, this head demonstrates big activity. For example, the last draft law of the Ministry of Justice says that this commission will become not state commission but the public commission. It was approved first by all the ministries and agencies. At the meeting of the Cabinet of Ministers, when that draft law had to be approved, Minister of Culture Nishchuk suddenly objected. It was emotional, but he objected. Why are you objecting? Asked the Minister of Justice. Why you have first approved it and now you are objecting? We do not understand why this way the state money should be spent. We do not understand why the state does not listen to professional associations that unite experts, but they want to use this mechanism. I hope that the state and the Cabinet of Ministers will listen to us.
Добрий день, колеги. Я Олексій Погорелов.
I am Oleksiy Pogorelov, the General Director of Ukrainian Association of Press Publishers, and I'm also the member of the Commission of Journalist Ethics. I will add just one thing. I will tell how the work of the Commission influences the work of the mass media. In 2009-2014, the Commission has passed more than 30 restrictive decisions against mass media, not a single one stimulating. The publications are stimulated to self-restricting, to self-censorship. They publish less critical materials because of that. And the censorship body that has mentioned cannot exist in the country, that guarantees to its citizens the freedom of speech. In December last year, Blik newspaper was closed, which is not the Ukrainian publication, it's standard publication which operates according to the global concepts. And then the World Association of Press Publishers protested against that. So now a couple of general comments. I believe that we all in the Commission have to move from restricting measures, from prohibitions to the policy of incentives, which is recognized to be efficient all over the world, and it helps to develop different media, not just press. And also what colleagues have not mentioned, the necessity to liquidate Commission is based on the regulatory acts. There was the decree of the President passed back in 2010, which was about liquidating this Commission. So everything that my colleagues have mentioned, based on that, we see that non-transparent actions of the Commission do not allow us to move forward. It's not time when we can, as the country, spend money for non-transparent actions without the result that could be measured. Either this body should move us forward, or it's something that we do not need, and we should not be spending our money to finance some mechanism which is hiding behind the non-transparent mechanism. The financing is non-transparent now. It used to be an article in the budget before, but now it's hidden somewhere. Thank you. Questions? So now there are some questions from the audience. Thank you. Association of Ukrainian Lawyers, the member of the National Commission on Protection of Public Morality, It's interesting what you mentioned. They are fighting with closing the commission, but the commission is working and there is a support, and people are surprised why. But I would like to answer. A lot has been said. There's a lot of manipulation manipulation of public opinion, but in the period of hybrid war and information war is the component of that. The National Expert Commission on Protection of the Public Morale was actively involved into this fighting, because the second article of this law says that the activity which promotes and advertises the war, the aggression, the change of the system of territorial integrity of Ukraine is prohibited. Now, instead of supporting this commission, can you tell? I'm sorry, we have a press briefing. Please ask questions. If you have to say something more, we will organize for you a separate press briefing at your request. I would provide an answer because I'm also a lawyer, and the question is to me, which way? You're always saying words. We have analyzed the decisions. Could you quote at least a single decision that would stop the campaign of propaganda? Talking about the journalist ethics, I can tell you about this decision. There was a program of Dmitro Kiselov, and the program disseminated the information which was not true about Ukraine. The commission, addressed to the Collegium of Journalism of Russian Federation, and they received the answer that really they were using the words of hatred, that public TV of Ukraine is not financed by the government of Ukraine, but is financed by the citizens of Ukraine. And all the recordings which were made by hidden camera, they were made a year or two before, and they were not about events at Maidan. That was decision on 10 pages, the complaint on 6 pages. Can you tell me, give me a single decision made by National Expert Commission? So what are these decisions about? Are they about certificates of the happy family? And is that the way that you are protecting the morality of the country? Cannot hear. Sorry, we cannot hear. That is your argument. Please talk not about us, but talk about you. The public has never supported you. You are supported by some civil servant. We have this press briefing for journalists, and the journalists are asking questions. If you need to have your own press briefing organized, please give us the application about that, the request about that, and we'll organize it. TV channel 1619 from Kazakhstan. My question is to Kotiuzhynska and Rozkladay. How do you assess yesterday's attempt, which was not successful in the Verkhovna Rada, to limit the showing of the Russian soap operas about the workers of special services of Russia? Because the arguments were these soap operas, these serials should not be shown today. The topic of Russian content is always painful for us. Why? Because on the one hand, we understand that all these draft laws, all these decisions of the National Council on prohibition of Russian TV channels, they are illegal. But there is something that we have to do. It's when your throat is squeezed like that, when the work of the security service of Ukraine is not efficient, the investigator can file a case. There are many articles for propaganda war, for violating the territorial integrity. When the state expert opinion can be ordered, philological content. They have all these capacities, and the court should be using all these arguments. We have just returned from the conference, from the International Forum in Skopje in Macedonia, and what were they saying? They did not tell to Ukraine. They were saying, yes, propaganda, you have proven it, and the Stop Fake project is wonderful project, it's clear, but you have not proven in any court that all these TV channels have this content, that these serials have this content, and that means that you are putting limitations on the freedom of expression. We protect the freedom of expression. We say that in Ukraine, compared to other European countries, there's no criminal responsibility for slander, and the people were in the street because of that, and we are proud of that. But at the same time, we get red because our state bodies cannot efficiently use normal operating Ukrainian legislation. And such draft laws, this is like a forced step, and the MPs understand. We create the precedent. We prohibit some content, Russian TV channels. Someone comes with the decision, with the proposal. Let's prohibit the news, our regular news, because they negatively influence the people. And do we draft the law on protection of, on prohibition of news, and then we have only entertainment programs left? So use the legislation, but you lack specialists. That is the first time you face it. We understand it. We are ready to provide expert analysis. We are ready to work free of charge. We tell about that for so long. We've been telling about that for so long, but this doesn't happen. Very brief remark. Any prohibition, if you open Article 10 of European Convention, it says when the freedom of speech could be limited, but it could be done because of the resolution passed by the court. And half of TV channels do not have even preliminary prohibition, and that is why we request our judicial to operate within the law. If we want to create the democratic society, then all the procedures ought to be done according to the law. If the law says there should be the ruling of the court passed, there should be the ruling of the court. I'm not happy to see Russian serials, Russian soap operas on our TV channels, but if we have to prohibit it, we need to prohibit it based on very good evidence. In Europe, the prohibition of TV channels is something exceptional. When they prohibited the extremist Arab TV channel, but before that there was a very lengthy procedure, and there was a request. And again, the Russian TV series, it's not just today. For dozens of years they are talking about Ukrainians being robbers and so on. Look at any Ukrainian in any Russian TV series. But what National Expert Commission was doing for this not to be happening? We have the next speaker, and we are completing this briefing. Thank you, and the next briefing of NSDC will be in 2 minutes.